Welcome to another episode of The American Dream. And let me tell you, this is the last episode of The American Dream. Well, at least the current version. We have reformatted the show. We are going a whole new direction, faster pace, new format, really exciting, out on the street. This is the last time you're going to see me wearing this suit, to be honest with you. Check out our new show open as a preview to what's going to start next week. Let's start the show right now.
We do it in the spirit of going against the grain of the negative media, giving inspiring information, and having people walk away from our show with something of value.
You're seeing a disruption in both the real estate and the mortgage space.
A lot of people are just not willing to put in the work.
What video does is that it demands an emotional response.
You know what I love about the show? It's totally unscripted.
Welcome to The American Dream. We're excited to have back in the studio again Kathy Fettke. She is the CEO of Real Wealth Network. Great to have you here, Kathy.
Thank you.
I said the name right, too,
You
didn't
did.
I?
Real Wealth Network. Yes, it's a mouthful.
I love it. I know you've been in here before, and they've had some great conversations. You've talked with many of our hosts. But today, I want to ask you what's going on with rising interest rates. How is that affecting the market from your perspective?
Well, in a lot of places, it is doing what it's supposed to do, which is slow it down a little bit. Home prices have been on a tear for 10 years. And normally, everything is cyclical about every 10 years. So if you remember, exactly 10 years ago.
Oh, we remember.
You remember! Something happened in 2008 that a lot of people remember. There was a complete housing meltdown. So people are asking, oh boy, are we headed for that? Because there is a bit of a slowdown. What a lot of people don't understand is when the Federal Reserve raises rates, there's one reason, and that is to slow things down because it's moving too fast. Prices can't accelerate at a 10%, 20% clip every year forever. It just can't work. So rising interest rates, slow it down. You just need to expect it. There shouldn't be all these headlines saying, oh my gosh, housing is slowing down. That's the point.
The hype isn't necessary.
It isn't. But there's a positive and negative to everything. If you own an asset, if you bought housing in the last 10 years, you've seen equity growth. If you haven't bought anything, it's been almost impossible to get into the market these past few years. So now as that's reversing a bit, those who have been trying to get in are going to have a little bit of a better chance because prices will slow down. The price growth will hopefully slow down a little.
So it seems only fair, which then, to ask the question then, is it a good time to buy?
It's always a good question. And some real estate agents will say, of course, it's always a good time to buy, right? It depends on where you are. And it depends on you and what you're looking for. So if you are looking to settle down, have a family, get married, stay there for a long time, historically, prices continue to rise over time, and you're going to raise your family. So as long as you can make the payment and that's a comfortable place to live and raise your kids, do it. Over time, it will pay off, and you'll pay off that loan as well instead of just paying rent. But if you're not sure, and you might be moving or you might sell in the next couple of years, I might consider either renting where you want to live and investing elsewhere, which is really what we're known for, is saying, hey, you don't necessarily have to buy real estate right where you live. For example, in San Francisco, we know it's peaked. It has gone way over what's affordable for any normal person, and even a not normal person. Even if you make $200,000 or $300,000 a year, you're struggling to own a home there. So maybe now, not now, and again, unless you're going to hold it for 30 years. Right. But maybe instead you could live in San Francisco and rent, and maybe buy a house in Dallas and rent it to someone else.
That's great advice.
Maybe buy a house in Florida. Keep building the real estate portfolio, but where it makes sense.
So then what's your perspective if somebody's looking at maybe, multi-unit properties? So all right, we're buying somewhere else. What's your thoughts on that?
You just need to know what you're doing. I mean, that's what we specialize in, educating people on how to invest properly so that you never get stuck in another 2008. Now, back in 2008, when people were losing everything, our members were actually making money. Because if you understood what was happening, which was California was in a huge fat bubble, but there were other places that weren't, like Texas. Now, why did we know that Texas wasn't in a bubble in 2006 when every other market was? Because there was massive job growth, massive population growth, migration, and guess what? Not enough housing. And everyone thinks, oh, there's nothing but land in Texas, but it takes a long time to get land developed and have the resources and the utilities and everything. So just because there's land doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to all be developed. So we knew that people could sell their overpriced property and exchange it tax deferred through a 1031 exchange, so not even pay tax on all that gain, and buy in a market that's just at the beginning of its boom. So many of our members at Real Wealth Network got out of the crisis in time, got into a better market, got 4 to 5 times the cash flow they would have gotten in California,
Sure.
and only watched their equity grow. So they didn't even feel a recession.
That's incredible. And so, when we always talk about empowering the American dream here, it doesn't, like you're saying, just have to mean your own residence and where you live. I love it. You're empowering really great ideas that are outside the box, but still could have such a huge advantage with where the market is today, where it could be tomorrow, looking at where we've been. And I love your advice on that. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing that today. I think our viewers are really going to gain something. And I hope they reach out to you to say, okay, how do we implement this? So that was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kathy. We'll be right back with more of The American Dream.
Well, here's an exciting announcement for you. The American Dream has been a national show for a few years now, but we are reformatting everything. We're trying to keep up with the times, fast pace, run and gun, a lot of stuff happening in digital and social as well. We are going to trailblaze some new content and new distribution so you can catch it every week on the show, but also online. Coming up now is an example of a segment that you're going to see the new flavor of the American Dream. Let's check it out.
What I love most about San Diego is the pace. People move here because they know that life is short. You gotta live it in a place that recognizes that. I would always joke I can go from business suit to wetsuit in 15 minutes on a Friday afternoon. I think I've got it beat. I've got it down to about 12 minutes now. That's what living in San Diego is about. Today I'm going to take you guys to a property that we just put on the market in Sapphire Tower. This condo is probably one of the best properties, one of the best views in all of San Diego. On the way, we're going to pick something up special for the sellers. We're going to go to Donut Bar. Actually, it's here right now. Let's get some donuts. Could I get some creme brulee and then a Boston cream and a chocolate euphoria? I was gonna have a beer, but I think it's too early.
It's not too early, sir. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Just
Thanks. When you're in downtown San Diego, you might walk right by it and think it's nothing, but the Donut Bar has been on USA Today, it's been on the Thrillist, it's been on TripAdvisor. This is probably one of the hottest donut bars in America, and we got it in our backyard. This penthouse listing is actually really personal to me because not only do we have a listing on one of the most expensive penthouses downtown San Diego, I was working on this project when I was 19 years old as an intern for the builder. So to come around 16 years later and have a listing of this caliber is something that really means a lot to us. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 3,000 square feet, but you're not just buying it because of the stats, you're buying it because of the materials, you're buying it because of the Sub-Zero commercial wine fridge, the Miele, the Wolf, all these materials are absolute top of the line. And for an affluent penthouse buyer, they're the units, materials that you would really want. The reason I would buy this property is this room right here. One of my favorite rooms in the penthouse is the master bedroom. It's got floor-to-ceiling, wall-to-wall windows. It overlooks over $2 trillion in downtown penthouse living. You can see out of this window to Mexico. You can see Coronado Islands in the San Diego Bay. I like to joke that this is a 50 Shades of Grey style penthouse. And I like to think that Christian Grey himself would love this one feature that he has right here. And this is a hidden staircase, in case you have guests that need to leave in a hurry. The reality is for $3 million, you could buy a lot of house, right? But you can't replicate this view. That beach across the street, that's a white sand beach I surfed at this morning. For a local San Diegan, you're looking at basically the best of our city all in one shot. So as great as the inside of this property is, you realize that it takes all of it to make it one of the best properties in San Diego.
All right, and cut. Good job, guys.
We're done?
We're done.
You want a donut?
Yes.
All right, welcome back to The American Dream. It's time now for our Mortgage Minute with Lisa Marie Shapiro. She's the Senior Mortgage Planner with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Lisa, thank you again for being here as usual.
Absolutely, Kara. Nice to be here.
Of course. Okay, so we are seeing a major trend towards online lending. What are some of the issues that you're seeing in that arena?
So Obviously, everybody knows right now mortgage rates are moving. And when that happens, a lot of people start to shop interest rates and look around thinking they can find a better deal online, just like you can with other things. But you also have to be, careful what you get. So a lot of the online lenders will advertise lower rates, but not really disclose exactly what all the costs involved are. So I had a client this past week. They're under contract on a new home, and it's about $430,000 loan amount. And they thought that the rate that they were getting online looked fantastic. So I had them, go ahead, send me your loan estimate, and let's see what that looks like. And they sent it over to me, and here it is showing that they were charging them 2.25 points, which was like $9,600 to get this mortgage done. And at the end of the day, comparing apples to apples, I was able to show them that they don't have to pay that money. It's not required. And in fact, was able to even give them back a little bit of a lender credit to offset even more costs at closing. So it really matters. Again, talk to your local lender person who can really do a true apples to apples comparison for you and really give you full transparency.
Wow, that is some great advice. If it seems too good to be true online, it usually is. Talk to a lender. Lisa, thank you so much for clarifying.
Absolutely.
See you next time. Welcome back to the American Dream. I've got a great guest with me today, Valarie R. Brooks. She's the broker owner of Valarie R. Brooks Real Estate Company with Love Charlotte Homes. Valarie, great to have you on the show.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks, Cara.
Of course. So usually we're talking to you about your expertise in the real estate market over there in Charlotte. But today is personal. I want to know what's recently happened to you that most people would think would never happen to them.
Well, thanks, Cara. Being that American Dream's goal is to empower, engage, and educate, I wanted to talk about identity theft. I am a victim of identity theft. And there's been a driver's license, a passport created with my information on it, and the picture of a woman that's certainly not me. They've used this passport to open P.O. boxes across states. They've also used this passport and driver's license to try and get checking deposits accounts. They've called checking companies to try and get checks created. Some of those mailboxes, they've tried to have my mail forwarded to from my mailbox. They've spoofed my email address, and they've also spoofed my phone. But they are very relentless, and I think that it's a good thing if everyone would be careful and pay close attention.
Absolutely. This is something that's terrifying that could truly happen to anybody, and nobody wants it to, and nobody knows if it's going to. But now that this has happened to you, what advice do you have for people just to make sure that they're paying attention to prevent this from happening to them?
You really need to pay very close attention to your emails. Do not open emails that you're not aware of. Also, if you were to open an email and if the email says this document was sent to you, do not open it if you're not familiar with it. Think about it. If somebody's trying to get in touch with you, and if indeed it is a document, they have other ways to get in touch with you. Also, there are ways that they're using your telephone. They will call your telephone with a number that looks pretty familiar. If you answer the phone, they won't say anything, but when you hang up, don't call them back, because when you call them back, that's the way they're spoofing your phone.
I just learned something really great. I had no idea. So that is very, very helpful. Now, say it does happen to somebody, their identity does get stolen. What steps can they do to take to fix it?
Well, first of all, you need to be an advocate for yourself, and you need to find all avenues of ways to prevent as well as to recover. The Federal Trade Commission has been very helpful to me because they give you information on ways to prevent identity theft as well as how to recover and to stay ahead of identity theft. The Federal Trade Commission, I would also freeze all 3 credit bureaus and make every institution that you're involved with aware of what's going on with you.
Wow, that's really great advice, and I appreciate you coming on and being vulnerable and sharing that with everyone, because you are right, you have to be an advocate for yourself, and I appreciate you helping people try to protect their American dream as well. So thanks, Valarie.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Of course, I'll see you next time.
Okay.
Thanks so much for watching The American Dream. We'll be right back with more. All right, welcome back to The American Dream. I've got an awesome guest with me, Kristen Bernard. She's a realtor and broker in North Carolina and South Carolina. She's with Keller Williams Realty, South Park. Kristen, thanks so much for being here with us as usual.
Hey, Kara, thanks so much for having me.
Of course. So today we're going to talk about market stats. I want to know what the market is like in Charlotte. What are the days on market, sales price, month supply? Talk to me.
Yeah, lots of good things going on here for sure. We are not seeing the market slow down that much here, but a lot of it depends on price point. A lot of it depends on area. So where we're seeing some of the fastest sales prices and things moving quickly are in those lower price points. In that $150,000 to $200,000 range, we're seeing average days on market about 24, which is great. When we up our price point is when we're beginning to see that slowdown. So anything priced 300,000 and above, we're starting to see that slowdown occur. And then when we get into that luxury market above 500, we're definitely seeing it shifting back towards that buyer's market. So it's our job as agents to educate our sellers on what kind of market we're really in. And a lot of it depends on price point, for sure.
I can agree. There's a lot of commotion going on, people thinking like they understand the market. So what are some of the myths that people are hearing about today's market?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things floating around right now about the real estate industry for sure. So, housing crisis, real estate bubble, kind of what's happening. So wanted to kind of talk about two of those today and really maybe shed some light on some of these myths that are coming. A lot of people think that we are headed for another housing bubble. 10 years ago, we experienced this recession. So where are we? Real estate is cyclical. Where are we? Is this coming? The truth is home prices have increased year over year. We've seen prices increase for 76 months straight across the nation. Here in Charlotte, we've seen year to year prices increase 13.9%. So yes, we've seen some of that increase going on. I think the reality is it's a supply and demand thing, right? There's just no inventory. The inventory is low for sure. And so I think it's just a matter of, we haven't seen a 6-month supply or a balanced market since 2012. So I think at the end of the day, it truly is supply and demand that's driving these prices.
Sure. Now, speaking of supply and demand and low inventory, with both of those combined, people are really thinking that it's a seller's market. Would you agree?
Yeah, so we're hearing that's the buzzword right now. It's a seller's market. It's a seller's market. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I think it's a yes and no question. Again, I think it goes back to that price point. If we are above $500,000, you're not in a seller's market right now, especially here in Charlotte. And we have to do a good job educating those sellers about that because that's all they're hearing is it's a seller's market. Anything below that, for sure. I mean, Charlotte right now, we're at a 2.5 month supply overall. So as long as you stay in that price point, depending on what that price point is, we can still say you're in a seller's market, but there's parts of, our area that we can't say. We're moving towards that balanced market and even that buyer's market. So definitely some myths out there that we have to do a good job educating our clients and our customers on what that means for sure.
Absolutely. There's a lot that goes into it, and you're absolutely right. Depends on that price point. Now, yeah. I know you've got a great listing you wanted to touch on. Tell me about it.
I do. So I have a gorgeous listing that I am excited to tell you about. It's in North Charlotte. It's in the Davis Lake neighborhood, 4612 Poplar Grove. It's open concept, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, listed at $269,900. It is absolutely stunning. Open floor plan, like I said, kitchen updated. Get on my Facebook page and check it out. Also, Instagram, you'll see it on there. It's beautiful. Come take a look at it for sure.
It sounds amazing, Kristen. Thank you so much for sharing the market stats, a little bit about your listing. It's great to have you on the show, and we look forward to see you again next time.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for watching The American Dream. We'll be right back with more.
Leslie Dale with RE/MAX, here today with Terry Kenny, director of the Gaston Low-Cost Spay-Neuter Clinic.
Hey Leslie, thanks for coming. I am the executive director here at the clinic, and we opened our new facility about a year ago, and thanks to the generosity of Dr. and Mrs. Borchardt, we now have the Lenora Borchardt Center.
Kitty?
That's Tippy, he's a shelter rescue, and we're trying to get him adopted by a good family. But I am a volunteer and love it, absolutely love it. We're located at 425 West Franklin Boulevard, and our services are available to anyone, Gaston County, outside the county, but we try to make it affordable for everyone.
What's the typical cost?
It's $70 for female cats and dogs under 60 pounds, $40 for male cats, and we run specials all the time. We also have funds available if people receive Medicaid food stamps or WIC, then we make it affordable for them too. Come on in, let's show you where the action happens. Excuse me, ma'am.
All right.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of cats today, and this is our surgical suite. We have one surgeon who will be going from table to table. She's just finished 3 surgeries and did 2 exams this morning. This is Dr. Jones. Dr. Jones is our surgeon today.
Hi, Dr. Jones. Leslie Dale. Nice to meet you.
So one of our rescuers got her, and they were very excited, thought we would reunite Micro with the family, and they had never registered the chip. So at our facility, we register the chips for everybody, so we don't have to worry about that happening. And then one of my favorite rooms, I love washing and drying. So we have 3 washers and 2 dryers, and they go pretty much nonstop starting about late in the day. And this is another one of our girls.
Oh my goodness,
and
look
this
at
is
you.
Zena.
Hey, Zena.
And this is our dog room. And this works out really well because it's not below our upstairs space so that it makes a noise.
Who is that?
And all of these are public animals here today. So they all have owners, and they'll be going home at the end of the day, and most of them will get new vaccines today and will be spayed or neutered. He came from the shelter this morning, and he has been adopted. So his new mom and dad will pick him up this afternoon, and he will be fully vetted and microchipped, and then he'll get to go home. So we're very happy for him. He's very handsome.
He
Aren't
is.
you handsome, buddy?
Terry, how are you able to do this so affordably?
Well, first of all, we're a nonprofit, and so that really helps. Nonprofits don't have to pay taxes, so we don't have to pay income taxes, we don't have to pay property taxes. Also, we use volunteer labor, like Melanie was here today to help. I'm a volunteer. We have other volunteers. And the biggest thing, though, we write a lot of grants. We have written a number of grants and received funding from PetSmart Charities, from the Borchardt Family Foundation, from some other private foundations, the George Patterson Family Foundation. So we have written grants for equipment, for kennels. I could walk around and sort of point to what grant money bought. So we try to do that to keep the prices affordable for everyone. And if people can't afford them, we actually have funds to help them get their animals fixed for even a lower price.
We won't have to do that again.
I think we'll probably have to do that one again.
Terry, most of us who are local recognize this, the old BB&T building.
Yes.
Y'all have done a terrific job repurposing
Thank
it.
you. We're very excited.
So not only do you have the spay-neuter facilities, you have a conference room and teaching room that's available to people to rent short-term.
Yes.
And then you have about 2,000 square feet of office space that's totally been redone.
Before we bought it, it was a realtor's office. And so a lot of the IT and wiring's still there. And so we're ready to lease and help move our project forward, our spay neuter clinic forward, and hopefully somebody can use the beautiful space to their advantage.
That's terrific. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate it.
Welcome back to the show. Well, we're now going to Suzette Gray. She's the #1 agent with Coldwell Banker Residential. She's coming to us from historic downtown Waxhaw.
Hello, Suzette Gray here with Coldwell Banker Residential, and I'm here in the quaint and charming historic town of Waxhaw, North Carolina. We're in the southwest corner of Union County, about 20 miles south of Charlotte. Neighboring communities, Marvin, Weddington, Wesley Chapel, Monroe, Stallings, and Mineral Springs. We're so close to the South Carolina border, about 2 miles Indian Land and nearby Fort Mill. With a population of about 17,000 and growing, it is the fastest growing zip code in all of North Carolina. This quaint, small town atmosphere is just the perfect place to live and to raise a family. Just a few interesting facts. Waxhaw is ranked #1 for the best place for young families in North Carolina by NerdWallet. It's ranked #2 in 2017 of the top 20 safest cities in North Carolina by SafeWise, and it's ranked #3 in 2017 for the safest suburbs in the Charlotte area by Niche. A little history for you history buffs out there. Waxhaw dates back to the early 1700s when there were an Indian tribe called the Waxhaws that inhabited this area. A lot of outdoor activities around here. The Parks and Recreation Department is alive and well here in Waxhaw as well. There are 2 local parks right here in the downtown Waxhaw area. It is the David G. Barnes Children's Park as well as Waxhaw Skate Park. I'm starving now after that tour, aren't you? I am. Well, let's go grab a bite to eat at Mary O'Neill's Irish Pub and also grab a pint.
Grab a pint.
Yes. So here we are at the end of our tour, and we are in Mary O'Neill's Irish Pub in downtown Waxhaw, and I'm here with owner Kieran. Say wave. Enjoying a pint of Guinness. I hope that you've enjoyed the tour of downtown Waxhaw. Now back to the studio.
That's all for today's show. Hope you enjoyed it. Starting next week, we got a whole new format and look for you. It's going to be run and gun, fast-paced, really, really exciting stuff. Call it American Dream 2.0. We're launching on Apple, Amazon, and Roku. If you want to learn more about the show, you want to follow us and breathe oxygen into this positive message, make sure you visit us online. That's all for today. Next week, an exciting show coming your way. Hope you can check it out. See you next week.